everyone, thank you for joining me here on another episode of Vegan Police TV. This episode is going to be one of my little controversial clips that I'm doing because it's about something that people don't want to talk about, they don't want to consider, and that is vegans and pet ownership. Now, I have written about this previously. I don't think I've spoken about it that much on YouTube. And so, where am I going? Getting distracted here by traffic up ahead. So yes, this is the thing, and this is my views. And when you have a look at it, is that before you just put a blanket statement down saying yes, all vegans should own pets or all vegans shouldn't own pets, you need to consider the implications and what could possibly happen to you by what could possibly be the impact of you making that decision. So now, when you have a look at when you talk to vegans about their reasons for owning a pet, whether it's a rescue pet or things like that, one of the things that they'll do is turn around and say, oh, it's for animal rights reasons because this pet has a right to life, this animal has a right to life, and things like that. Or they're talking about, the animal was suffering too much in the pound or the rescue or the shelter or wherever it was. Now, both of those aspects, when you have a look at it and you remove your human emotion and you remove what having a rescue pet does for you, you can't ethically continue keeping that pet. So why do I say that? Okay, let's talk about the suffering side of things. So people will say, animals suffer when they're in the shelter or while they're in the pound or while they're at pet stores. And this is the thing, is that the animal is an animal, so they still have the same rights regardless of where you purchase the animal from. And this is the thing, is that this is what you're doing, you're purchasing the animal. So let's, from the suffering side of things, okay, you've gone to a shelter, you've gone to a pound, and you want to purchase this particular dog or a cat or whatever. The idea, okay, you're doing it because the animal is suffering because they're in the cage that's in the pound. So you bring the animal home, the animal suffers on the way home, the animal suffers during the time that they're getting re-acclimatized to a new environment. So you're getting acclimatized to your environment. If you're at work, when you go to work, the animal suffers. When you come home, you may only be able to spend 10 or 15 minutes playing with the animal, especially if the animal's a dog. The animal will suffer after that. So there's all suffering. So you need to turn around and decide which suffering is worse for you. The continual suffering of the animal being kept in a slightly bigger cage, which is being kept in your backyard or left outside alone to fend for themselves. Is that a greater level of suffering than the suffering that the animal would have had if the animal had have stayed in the pound for 2 weeks and then be put down in a relatively painless manner? So that's the thing. So from that aspect, which is the suffering, you take the animal, you decide when the animal socializes. If you don't have other animals in your house, then the animal is reliant on you as the owner for socialization and for interaction with other animals. You decide when the animal gets to eat. You decide at what point in time the medical expenses that you're paying for the animal are too great to justify continually keeping the animal. So this is the thing. From that aspect, there's so many things where, by saying, oh, I'm reducing suffering, you need to sit down and consider that, are you claiming that you're reducing suffering for the animal because you want to feel good about reducing the suffering of that animal, and you want to feel good by saying, hey, I've rescued this animal, I'm doing something good by taking the animal out of that environment where the animal suffered and giving it a loving home or a forever home? Well, no home is a forever home. There's bound to be something where something happens. The animal could get sick, could escape the backyard or escape the front yard or wherever you keep them, run out, get bitten by a snake, get hit by a car, could be poisoned by one of the neighbours, could be anything. So there's a suffering involved with that. So And that's the thing, is that, you know, it really baffles me why people say, oh, I'm reducing suffering, or I've rescued this animal. Okay, what have you rescued the animal from, and what are you what are you then presenting the animal to? Oh, I've rescued the animal from a pound and certain death. Okay, you've then now put the animal in a slightly bigger cage where you as a human and the owner control when they're fed, when they're their level of medical attention that they receive, their socialization, their shelter, everything. You control everything. So there's that one. Now, going on the rights perspective, is that you're saying, oh, okay, I'm keeping, I want to rescue this animal because I believe that the animal has the right to life and the right to not be treated as property. Okay, which one is the greater right that you don't want to see infringed for you? Is it the right not to be kept as property, or is it the right to live their own life? If you're saying it's the right not to be kept as property, well then by you keeping the animal as a pet, you're keeping the animal as property, regardless of what warm and fuzzy term that you put on it, because society still views pets and other animals as property. So by keeping a pet, you're reinforcing that, regardless of whether you say, hey, this is my rescue and that. So, it's like turning around and saying, well, hey, I'm going to grow 7 marijuana plants because I view marijuana as something that I believe is necessary. I view it as a food, or I view it as something that I'm going to make paper out of. Okay, yes, that's fine. The cops will still come and raid your place, and you'll be done for, depending on how they go. I mean, your initial charges will be, growing a breach of the Drug Misuse Act or whatever it is, and keeping this product or that product. Depending on how many you've got, they may say you've got the intent to sell. If you've got a decent lawyer, you can push the lawyer and say, hey, no, it's of the industrial grade plants where there's a lower percentage of the THC compound in the plant. Well, in that case, then you're growing industrial cannabis or industrial marijuana, or whatever they call it. You're growing that without a license, so you're still going to get done. So this is the thing, is that it doesn't matter what you say something it is, it matters what the law says something it is. So, would you go and rescue someone, rescue a refugee and say, oh, that's fine, I'll go and take you from that environment, but when you come over to my place, all you can do is you can just stay in the backyard. You can live in that environment because I've rescued you from that. So I want to put you in here because that way I can feel good and promote you as the rescued refugee or being, and promote you to all my friends and improve my social standing and how I feel about myself. So there's that. So when you're talking about rights, is there another chicken truck? When you're talking about the rights, okay, we've gone for the right to life and the right to not to be treated as property. What about the right of the animal to live their own, to live their own devices, for the right to freedom of sexual expression, and the right to whatever other rights that there are? Because when you buy an animal from a pound, I would be willing to guarantee you that they've been desexed. So, this means that they've had their sexual organs ripped out. So you're doing that. What about that right to not have an unnecessary medical procedure placed upon the animal? So, it is necessary to calm the animal down. Okay, why? Because an unruly animal is upsetting to you? This is the way nature intended these animals. And I'm not going down that whole nature intended path. I'm just using this as the description for the infringement of the rights of this particular animal by saying, hey, the animals need to be desexed, or the animals need to do this. So just had a look at the camera now, and hopefully the sun glare is not too bad. We'll try and lighten it up when I go to post-production and all that. If this is bad, then obviously it won't go to air, so I'll record this one another day. So what was I saying? Yes, so the right. So from that perspective, which right is a greater infringement for you? Are you continually going to infringe on the animal's rights not to be treated as property by keeping them as a pet, even though you brand that pet as a rescue? And this is the other thing too. When you keep an animal as a pet, a majority of jurisdictions require you to register that animal, especially if the animal's a dog. So you have to register the dog. Therefore, you're registering the animal as property. So, like we have to register cars, like we have to register trailers, like we have to register, when we go and buy firearms, we have to register them, we have to get a license for them, get a motorcycle. This is what it is. It is property. The software that you buy on your computer, you have to register that. You have to put in the registration number and codes and blah, 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 blah. So this is all the animals are viewed by society. So unless you're willing to break the law by keeping the animal, say, no, I'm going to refuse to register the animal, well, you're leaving yourself open for that. So what else is there? So yeah, there's just so many grounds where any position that you take to justify you keeping the animal can also be used to justify you not keeping animals. Now, by no means am I saying that everyone should go out and kill their animals. What I'm saying is that you need to... Sorry, there's a truck sitting a little bit close to my behind. It's one of those very, very dangerous, what are they, double tip truck drivers or whatever they are. They are a huge menace on the road. So anyway, going off for another rant on that. So this is the thing. You need to think about it, and as I said, by no means am I saying that you need to go and kill your pet or you need to go and kill all the animals. What I'm saying is that you need to wake up and you need to think and you need to consider the reasons why you want to own the pet. Do you want to own the pet for whatever reason? So you need to see if that sits ethically within yourself. So if it does, good and well. If it doesn't, then don't. So anyway, that's my short rant for now. It seems to be that there's bad drivers everywhere today, so I might end this one now and watch a little bit of the traffic that's going on around me. So let me know your thoughts, questions, comments, and all that sort of stuff below. Thumbs up, thumbs down, like, dislike, share, subscribe, and all that sort of good stuff. So, as I said, my name's Cameron Blewett. This was another episode of Vegan Police TV. And remember, don't fear the vegan police. We're here to help. Bye for now.